Election 2024 is over. America has voted, and both sexism and racism have won the day. On Liberal Dan Radio, we will hold everyone accountable, from the media that failed to report the threat that Trump poses to this nation, to the people who supported him. We will pick up the mantle to educate the people about his actions, from being dictator on day one, pardoning January 6th domestic terrorists, implementing Project 2025, and any other draconian measures he tries to pass. And now, the resistance begins. And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. This is your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you from New Orleans, Louisiana. To join the conversation, we will open up the phone lines in a little bit, but it's 562-LIBDAN1 is the phone number when we do open up the phone lines, and I'll remind you as soon as we do. If we do. Hey, Ervilamy, good to see you over on Twitch. Let's see. This may be a shorter show than normal just because I'm exhausted. We've been doing some more work in my mother-in-law's house, and it's draining, and my knees hurt, and all that other good stuff. So we shall see what goes on. We'll see how I feel if I catch a second wind or something. Otherwise, this might be a shorter show. However, I am toying with the idea of adding a third day of Liberal Dan Radio, and maybe on, I don't know if I want to do it on Tuesdays or Thursdays. But it would probably take the place of the Nerdy Dan stream, and I would only do Nerdy Dan streams irregularly for the short term because I really want to help do whatever it is that I can to drive the algorithm up to get more people on the show, to try and get more subs, and I'm feeling that maybe it'll help to do more. So, well, beavers are animals, right? So if you want to be a little liberal animal, maybe you could be a beaver, right? You know.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. We give it a few more minutes for some more people to trickle on in here into the chat before we start talking about all the fun stuff that we're going to talk about. But let's see. We in the chat. Let's say I say Tuesdays is how usually goes late on Thursdays. That's one of the things that I was thinking that was the benefit for Tuesday. The problem with Tuesdays is that it just seems weird to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the week and not have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, not have anything there. It might make more sense to have it on a Thursday or another day, but I just don't know what day that would be. So we're going to work on it. We're going to brainstorm. We're going to think about it, and we're going to see if we can do something to help drive the algorithms up. Of course, the best way to help the algorithm that y'all can do is to like, share, subscribe. Make sure to comment on all the videos I post that are not live. Share them to your friends when they're relevant to be shared. Get the people that you know to come subscribe to the channel and get the algorithms up, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. Josh, have you ever tried to get Al Gore to give you a sound clip? I've not yet tried to get Al Gore to give me a sound clip. I wonder if you could do like a cameo or something. Problem is, if you do a cameo, as we discussed a while back, cameos are usually typically for personal use, and if you're using them for business purpose, it's possible that it might cost more than what one might expect. So, hey, Alton, good to see you from Paradise, Texas. I could see Paradise from the dashboard light. We got Josh. We've got, who else? Aaron, of course. Bunch of other people who are in the chat who are watching the stream who have not said hello yet. Hey, Molly, good to see you. And we'll give a couple more minutes before we start to pump this up. But if you want to support the show, of course, the best way to do it again is to like, share, subscribe, comment. All of the different ways that you can, show YouTube that other people might want to see these videos, because people are commenting on and liking and responding to the videos on my page. So it's the best way to do it. We would like to get to 2, maybe 3,000 by the end of the year. It would be lovely if that could happen. I don't know if that'll happen, but we need to grow, because there's being stagnant is not a good thing. So we definitely need to go. Yes, 'tis definitely a oddly named place, Paradise. And we have a Paradis, Louisiana. It's Paradise without the E. So good to see you, Krista, as well, and MJ Daniel. Good to see you too. Thank you all for joining the show. See, I'm tired. Oh, there's Big Hook. Good to see you, Big Hook. See, as you can see, I'm already tired today. Like I wasn't gonna cancel the show, but I'm already just flat out exhausted. So.
Is your wife running you ragged?
My wife asks if she's running me ragged. No, she's not running me ragged, but life is running me ragged. So, Aaron's now number 3. How did you drop to number 3 in the standings? All of y'all tied for 75 experience points. Whatever that means, you're tied. So, maybe that's YouTube's way to try and encourage more engagement, is by having y'all try and get the top spots every chat. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, I do love my wife and want to make sure that she's well taken care of and everything. So I'm more than happy to run myself ragged for her benefit. If anybody wants to come to New Orleans and help clean out a shed, she's inviting you down. There'll even be free pizza, even though she can't eat it. So anyway, I think Rose opened my door, and that may be more audible for the people outside the room, outside the office. But then Rose never came and showed up on camera, so she just opened the door for nothing. So it happens.
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Let's start off the show. Let's start off discussing the fire sale of pardons by Donald Trump. First and foremost, we have Todd and Julie Christie have both been released from prison at this point. They were released from custody from the Bureau of Prisons after President Donald Trump pardoned the couple of their crimes Wednesday. The official word came a day after his communications advisor announced that the president would pardon the pair, who were serving time for tax evasion and bank fraud. I think if Darth Vader was named Tax Vader, he probably would want to pardon him too. Their daughter, Savannah Chrisley, posted an image on Instagram Wednesday appearing to show Trump signing and posing with the pardon. A White House official confirmed the pardon. Of course, it's his ugly signature or whatever. And I'm sure, don't blame their daughter for being happy that their parents would be released, but Savannah Chrisley had appealed to the Trump administration for pardons for her parents and spoke at the 2024 Republican National Convention. She said Tuesday Trump had called her to notify that he was signing pardon paperwork for both of my parents. What paper pardon paperwork? That's weird, but I guess he's weird, so there it is. I'll forever be grateful for Donald Trump, his administration, and everyone along the way, all of my lawyers, the people who put in countless hours and effort and love for my family to make sure my parents got home, But, of course Donald Trump is going to help criminals because he's a criminal himself. Birds of a feather flock together. I guess can we not call them criminals anymore? Formerly convicted criminals of tax fraud, tax evasion, or whatever. See, I've literally been here since 2 a.m. I didn't bring clothes or a toothbrush. She said, I'm just a daughter who wants to take my dad home. Savannah Chrisley said her younger brother, Grayson Chrisley, was en route to pick up their mother, and their younger sister, Chloe, has been called a gazillion times asking for updates. She said her mom was in tears. It was absolutely amazing. So, yeah, that is two of the pardons that have recently come down the pipe by this criminal grifting President Donald Trump. But the grift continues and widens because President Trump also pardoned Paul Walczak, if that's the way you pronounce it. Paul Walczak, a man who had... there's a W, not a B. Cassie's wondering if it's Paul Balzac, which, might very well be a good nickname for the guy, but there's no B there. There's no B in the name. Man, again, he pled guilty to tax crimes 1 month after his mother attended a major fundraiser for the president. Now he has been pardoned. So he pled guilty after the election, but before he took office. They've asked for, a pardon for a while now, but only after she attended $1 million per seat or per plate fundraiser did he actually get the pardon that he wanted. Times reports the pardon application was submitted around his inauguration, cited efforts by his mother, Elizabeth Fago, to support Trump and other Republicans, and contended that Fago's political activity motivated the criminal prosecution. So basically, she believed that because of her political activity, including helping to leak Ashley Biden's journal or diary to the media, and talking to people in the Trump administration about all that, because apparently it was found and they went ahead and just shared it anyway. So it was a $1 million cost per person fundraiser that Fago attended at Mar-a-Lago. And then less than 3 weeks later, Walczak was pardoned. A new report about the timing of Trump pardon comes with scrutiny over his clemency moves, including pardoning of January 6 defenders, 1,500 people charged in connection with the 2021 Capitol riot. Here's the thing. He pled guilty back in November, shortly after Trump's election, to not paying employment taxes and not filing his individual income tax returns. He'd withheld nearly $7.5 million in taxes from workers at his healthcare companies, but did not pay those to the IRS. So he kept $7.5 million from the U.S. government. His mom spent $1 million to get him pardoned, and he's now pardoned. What does a pardon do? A pardon is going to prevent him from serving any more prison time, and it's going to prevent him from having to pay restitution, I guess, to the government. So in early April, Floridian was sentenced to 18 months in prison and 2 years to supervise his release. He was ordered to pay more than $4 million in restitution. The pardon spares him from serving the time and from paying the restitution. So Donald Trump has now aided and abetted a tax cheat, a criminal, as a fellow criminal. He's done that. Stealing $4 million. I don't know if it's from the work. I don't know if he would say it was stolen from the people he worked for, because it was really, that was supposed to go to the federal government. So it was really, he stole the money from the federal government. He was supposed to pay the money to the federal government, and he did not. And now he gets to keep it. Now, and of course, he could just pay the $1 million to that the mom paid out of the $4 million that he no longer has to pay from the $7 million that he withheld from the IRS, which just ultimately tells you that under the Trump administration, crime pays. You can now steal a whole bunch of money. You can deny giving the federal government the money that they're owed from taxes or anything else. And when they come after you, all you have to do is attend a fancy dinner at Mar-a-Lago, paying $1 million a plate, and you'll get to keep the rest of your money that you stole. This is a criminal administration. This is criminal acts on the part of the president. It should be considered aiding and abetting a crime, but, the Supreme Court has already said that presidents are presumed to have, immunity from the things that they do. And I guess giving people presidential pardons is a presidential duty, even though by doing that duty, he is also, helping to defraud himself. And why is he not now considered part of that crime? He should be, because he was paid $1 million. The guy owed $4 million. He's paid $1 million, or his mom did, to get him freed. So now Donald Trump has, or his organizations have, that money. It was probably tied to the stolen money. I dare any Trump supporter to try and defend that in the chat or on the phone when and if we open up the phone lines. So what do you think? Do you think that Donald Trump is just expanding his grift now by flat out openly and brazenly selling pardons to the highest bidder? Or do you think there's a better explanation that makes him look good? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel, and of course, unless you're supporting these criminal activities of Herr Donald, have a good day. See, atrocious at every game, drain the swamp right into the Oval. Yes. Well, back in 2016, when I was talking about the Trump administration, I basically would say Donald Trump is only draining the swamp so he can replace it with a more swampier swamp. Right? So, you know, I was saying that I've been saying that for a long time now. Anybody believing that he actually wanted to drain the swamp needs to be told that they took the word gullible out of the dictionary as well. So, yep, a swampier swamp that is loyal to him. Exactly. There's a game, Cards Against Humanity, and I once tried to submit some card ideas to whatever. And there's, you know, black cards you have to fill in the blank. It's kind of like Mad Libs, but for dirty people. Then you have white cards that you fill in the spaces with, and yeah. So I submitted a card or several cards to, you know, the game, and like one of the things I came up with, like a card that would be cisformers, exactly what meets the eye. An alternate reality where everything is transnormative instead of being cisnormative. And I also did that one as well, the draining the swamp and replacing it with a swampier swamp. Of course, I don't believe that any of my cards got picked. That being said, there's no accounting for taste or humor. Anyway. Yeah, Trump expanding his grift, unimaginable, inconceivable that he would expand his grift. Who would have thunk it? Couldn't have been me here at Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from Left, That's Right, and all of the Danimals who watch every week and who know that Donald Trump is a criminal grifter who must be stopped. But as of right now, how do we do it? I don't know. Me and Big Hook have tried to put our heads together on that. Just, you know, something has to be done, but what the thing that actually needs to be done is, who knows? Say, Chad, getting paid to give a pardon isn't any worse than pre-pardoning people with no crimes charged. Yes, both is wrong. Hey, Val, good to see you. Chad, let's talk about Hunter Biden for a second. Let's say you had the silly charges of, you know, this whole laptop thing, the bogus laptop. There is no laptop. When they held, you can't hold up a, this isn't a flash drive, but you can't hold up a flash drive and wave it around and say, this is a laptop. No, it's not a laptop. So, and if anybody believes that Hunter Biden, who I believe lived in California at the time when he needed his computer repaired, does anybody really believe that of all the computer shops that are available in California, that Hunter Biden chose to fly across the country, all the way to Delaware, a teeny tiny little state of Delaware, the state of boredom. He flew all the way to Wilmington, Delaware, to find this one particular computer repair shop. And the owner of said shop is so legally blind that he wouldn't have been able to recognize his face in a lineup. Believe that? Got a bridge over the Lake of Pontchartrain that I want to sell you. It's the longest bridge over a single body of water in the world. I'll give it to you if I could have get it for you for wholesale. So they're coming after Biden, Hunter Biden, with bogus charges. Should Biden have not said, I'm not going to pardon him? He should have said, at this time, I'm not thinking of pardoning him right now. But if somebody was going after your child in an unhinged way that Donald Trump was going after Hunter Biden, would you not do the same thing? And no, it is not the same thing as getting paid to give a pardon. And again, the rest of the family, they were calling the Biden family the Biden crime family, and there is a threat that they would be gone after. So what, wouldn't you protect your family from an incoming psychopath who has it out for your family? And yeah, Liz Cheney and the members of the J6 committee should have all been pardoned too. Because here's the thing. We might not believe that an actual crime was committed, but That won't stop them from manufacturing one, like they've manufactured many things. They've manufactured that citizens are not citizens and have deported them. They make up all sorts of stories. So giving them a preemptive pardon to stop the incoming psychopath of a president from using the office to conduct political vendettas or complete political vendettas or whatever against his political enemies, it seems reasonable that you might want to do that just to prevent him from doing the BS, manufacturing charges. You know, what he claimed other people did to him, because every conservative accusation is a confession. See over on chat, hard drive name laptop, yeah. I should name my Wi-Fi Hunter Biden's laptop instead of KGB surveillance fan, but I don't want to change everything in the house. See, finding a blind repairman whose father knew Rudy Giuliani's loaner in the past hard copy of a hard drive, not laptop him. Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I didn't even know that the guy knew Rudy Giuliani's father. That makes it even more suspicious and more fishy. Trump has even talked about, he said he was the political retribution. His FBI director wrote a book on his enemies list or something. Maybe that was Bondi. One of the two. They're all frickin' criminals. They're all frickin' just aiding and abetting the domestic terrorist that is Donald Trump. You know, typically that would be considered treason, but, you know, who's going to charge him with treason? Who's going to do that? Especially if the administration has immunity and if their communications within the executive branch is privileged, as according to the Supreme Court ruling that gave him the basically blanket immunity. Let's see. Question is, what is going to be simpler? Blue states separate from the U.S. or rewrite the Constitution and the laws of America? Houses infected with Republican termites and Russian accents. I don't know how that would be simple, because here's the thing. I mean, I'm a Democrat. I'm somebody who's blue. I live in a red state. I mean, I live in a blue city, but it's a red state. Does New Orleans get the opportunity to split from Louisiana if Louisiana decides that we're going to self-yeet again? I don't know. Anyway, so catch me up. What was the taco question? We'll get to the taco question in a second. We have not yet gotten to taco economics. See, both of them are circumventing justice. In my opinion, they're both equally wrong. Wrong is wrong. There are some cases where you could say wrong is wrong, and there's no weighing of it. Like, I just responded to some video earlier today where, not with another video, but basically saying, you know, let's not play who's more anti-Semitic. All anti-Semitism hurts us. And this person was a TikTok creator who's trying to claim that leftist anti-Semitism is worse than right-wing anti-Semitism. They both suck, and they're both harmful to us Jews, at least. But yeah, but in this particular case, no, there's clearly differences. And even if you think it's wrong, I don't think it's wrong. But if you think it's wrong, this is Trump's actions are way much worse. Big Hook asks in the chat, would you pardon your family to protect them from a malicious president who said he was going on a revenge tour to his second term? Chad says, no, you do the crime, you did the time. But here's the thing. They didn't do crimes. Biden was just worried that the Trump administration was going to manufacture crimes and put up these fake trials and punish his political enemies. So why wouldn't you write a pardon that would be a blanket pardon for anything that the Trump administration might come up with to protect your family? If I knew my family was not guilty of anything, if I was confident that my family was not guilty of anything, but I had an incoming psychopath saying about how they're going to go after the Zimmerman crime family, they're going to go after my children or whatever, based on BS accusations, hell yeah, I would sign a pardon, pardoning them from any hypothetical crimes that they might have been charged with. It doesn't mean that they're actually criminals. Normally, if you pardon somebody, it means they were a criminal. But we're not in normal times. We are not in a time period where we can look at normal and what was normal and say, oh, that's what we should be dealing with. Because in reality, no, we're not dealing with that. We're dealing with this immature, corrupt grifter of a president who is unhinged and who wants to use the government to conduct his own personal vendettas to enrich himself and enrich his buddies as well. The government would never put on fake trials for political enemies. That's crazy talk. Well, Donald Trump seems to think that they would because that's what Donald Trump claimed his trials were. But when you have... so here's the thing. Differences between the Democratic presidents and Republican presidents, especially Donald Trump. Democratic presidents will allow the Justice Department to have their autonomy. They won't let the Justice Department go after their own cases. The Democratic Party believes that when you have a president, that the Attorney General, while being appointed by him, should be independent to investigate whoever they wish to investigate as appropriate, including, the people that appointed them. But no. Let's say Hunter was guilty, he paid his debt, but Trump still wants to hurt Biden. And that's the thing. Like, anything that Hunter Biden was guilty of, I mean, nobody would have been prosecuted in the manner in which he was for the crimes he was alleged of. Nobody would have had to deal with that. I know you were being sarcastic, Chad, because I know you think they targeted him. They didn't. They didn't target him at all. He committed crimes. He actually committed crimes. And you voted for him, knowing that him becoming elected would mean that he wouldn't do the time for the crimes he committed. So don't tell me that if you do the crime, you should do the time when Donald Trump ain't done crap. Novel legal theories. I don't know. I don't read many legal novels. Let's see. GOP really upset about Hunter lying of a gun form, but they are silent on Trump being Epstein's wingman for 25 years. The pardons even said they're not guilty of crimes. This is to protect them from incoming political prosecutions. Trump threw out the norms a long time ago. Biden has a right, in fact, an absolute immunity to protect people. I love Joe Biden and I love his respect for institutions, but holy crap, Garland shat the bed big time. Yes, I said that last show too. That Garland absolutely. I think I might have even used those words, that Trump shat the bed. Or, yeah, because it's ridiculous. Why can't this start? I don't understand what's going on here. I was trying to start a super chat goal, but it won't let me do it. Maybe it's this new community thing that's screwing up. Oh, there you go. The goal is now live. There you go. The goal, if I said, I can't make this goal. Goal's now live. Great. Once they sentence, he could appeal. It will most definitely be overturned by the New York State Court of Appeal. Merchant knows this is why I haven't sentenced him. Rob him of appeal. No. Marchand that's not what he's doing. Not one bit. No, atrocious. Write all the essays you want. It helps the algorithm. I don't know how well the algorithm gets helped over on Twitch versus YouTube, but I'm more than happy to read your essays. See, Tim, Biden never should have gave out all those pardons. We lost the moral authority. I disagree with you on that one. Because there's, but again, do the crime, do the time, as you said, Chad. Well, what about all the J6ers that did the crime and are not doing the time, not doing their time? Of course, some of them got pardoned and now they're back in jail because they committed more crimes, because Trump's base is chock full of criminals. So, yep, Big Hook, exactly. He paid his taxes with penalties, and the gun was never used in any crimes. It's just an exaggeration of law to punish the perceived enemies of what you are, in fact, guilty of. Thank you, Robin, for being a liberal Danimal for 11 months. Appreciate you for that. Again, everybody, I'm fine with people doing the time for the crimes they committed. I'm saying the Biden crime family are not criminals. Nobody's actually been able to prove that they're criminals. So, anyway. What's next? Let's see. What backgrounds do I have that I want to do? Oh, there's this one. Let's do that one. Start recording it in a second. The state of Utah, their lawmakers believed that gender-affirming care is harmful to kids. When Utah Republicans passed a ban of gender-affirming care for children and teens in 2023, and let's read a little more about that ban first. Utah's Republican-dominated legislature on Friday gave final approval for a measure that would ban youth from receiving gender-affirming health care like surgery or puberty blockers, bypassing concerns raised by opponents about the measure's impact on transgender children and teens in the state. The bill went to the Republican Governor Spencer Cox, who hadn't yet at that point publicly taken a stance on the legislation. It comes as legislators from at least 18 states consider similar bills targeting health care for trans youth. Montana lawmakers discussed the measure there on Friday. The bills have strong opposition from critics who say it's irresponsible to meddle in important decisions that should be left to parents and children, and I would guess their doctors, but they didn't include that in the article. Utah's measure prohibits transgender surgery for youth, which is stupid because the youth, if you're under 18, you don't get transgender surgeries. Every single clinic that I've looked up that performs these procedures, top surgery, bottom surgery, etc., for the purpose of being gender affirming, none of them do it till after 18. You have to turn 18, you have to be on hormones for a year, and then they'll do it. But you have to jump through all of those hoops first. So there's no child that's getting surgeries done. And there are puberty blockers. Puberty blockers are legitimate medicine, and they can be given to people who get early onset puberty first, who, I forget, there's another official word for it, and I'm blanking on the official word for it as we stand, but there is another official word for puberty that hits somebody that's early. But you need those puberty blockers for those kids. And if those kids can take those puberty blockers and be fine, then why couldn't potentially a young trans person take those puberty blockers to prevent, the hormones and everything from affecting their body, from getting them to grow up and making it even harder for them to transition later on in life? So Utah's measure prohibits transgender surgery from youth as long as hormone treatments, yada, yada, yada. Of course, how many people are getting this done? They make a huge issue. They make mountains out of molehills all the time. So they wanted to protect vulnerable kids from treatments that could cause long-term harm. Years later, the results of a study commissioned under the same law contradict the claim. And the Republican-led legislature is facing pressure to reconsider the restrictions. Utah's Department of Health and Human Services and experts from the state leading health organization concluded from a study of thousands of trans people that gender-affirming care generated positive mental health and psychosocial functioning outcomes. Policies that prevent access to hormone therapy for minors cannot be justified based on scientific findings or concerns about potential regret in the future, the report states. The agency is not taking a position on whether lawmakers should lift the statewide ban, but the person there in the article reminded lawmakers that they had intended for the prohibition to be temporary until the state could conduct its own research. Utah is among 27 states that have adopted laws restricting or banning gender-affirming medical care for trans minors, who Republican politicians have made a political lightning rod. Federal judges have struck down bans in Arkansas, Florida, Montana as unconstitutional, although the federal appeals court has stayed the Florida ruling, and the law in Kansas is not yet being enforced. And the other article from The Independent, Utah's lawmakers said gender-affirming care is harmful to kids. Their own study contradicts it. Utah's Republicans passed a ban on gender-affirming care for trans youth in 2023 and argued it was needed to protect vulnerable kids from treatments that could cause them long-term harm. While Utah Republicans passed a ban on gender-affirming health care for children and teens in 2023, they argued it was needed to protect vulnerable kids from treatments that could cause long-term harm. Years later, the results of a study commissioned under the same law contradict that claim, and the Republicans in the legislature are facing pressure to reconsider the restrictions. Utah's Department of Health and Human Services and experts from the state's leading health organizations concluded from a study of thousands of trans people that the gender-affirming care generated positive mental health and psychosocial functioning outcomes. It's as simple as that. But yet these people are obsessed with the genitals of children. And you tell that to them, they get mad. They get so upset that you think that they're just molesting, that they're obsessed with those kids or whatever. That they're a threat to those kids. I think they're a threat to those kids. They're probably a bigger threat to molest those kids than the claims that it's the trans people that are out to get your kids, molest your kids, etc., groom your kids. Because all the claims that we made about, trans folk, LGBTQA folks is that they want to groom your kids so that they can molest them. But yet you keep seeing Republican after Republican after Republican elected official getting found guilty of what? All the things that they're accusing trans folk of doing. So let's go down. Let's a little bit. Utah Republicans passed a ban. Need to protect. Let's see. I think that's basically the same wording of the previous article, so we're not going to worry about that one. But anyway, I don't have any faith in my mind that these people in Utah will do the right thing here, because it's Utah. It's Utah. Bunch of conservative, bunch of Mormons who tend to be. I know Mormons who are not conservative. I know Mormons who hate this president. So it's not end all and be all. If you're a Mormon, you're going to be supportive of these horrible policies, this horrible president, etc. There are plenty of Mormons who understand how horrible this president is, and who are being very vocal about it. So, but I don't expect the state of Utah to do anything that actually applies what they've learned in the study. That would require that these Republican elected officials have the ability and the capacity and the capability and the desire to learn. And I see no evidence to the contrary. So anyway, what do you think? Agree or disagree? Leave your comments down below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Of course, unless you're a trans-hating Nazi, have a good day. Let's see. Thank you, Aaron, for the super chat. Let's see. Religion is bad for kids. Can be. Big Hook, use the election as a shield of not having to face crimes legally, and let's not pretend he isn't going to fly off in that Qatari jet to evade accountability when he's finished. Chagas, it's brilliant, bro. Marketing genius. Donald Trump is not a marketing genius. Donald Trump is a grifter. He's a con man. He may very well be a genius when it comes to being a con man. But in and of itself, he's not intelligent whatsoever. Is Steve from across the pond? Is Steve here?
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
Welcome, Steve. Thank you for joining the chat. I got Dave in Grand Prairie, Texas. You got Bicycle Mike. Got a bunch of people. Yes, Bicycle Mike, don't use that. What Aaron just deleted, no. We do not use any version of the R word when it deals with people with mental disabilities as a slur. That is something that is not allowed on this show. And I was very disturbed. There's an afternoon show on the WGSO 990 AM. I think it's the Mike Church show or something. Oh, I mean, he is a bigot. I mean, he throws around not just the R word. He throws around the F word too. Hey, Molly, thank you for the super chat as well. Appreciate you for that. See, Biden pardoned people who are not charged with anything. We have to fight the MAGA court to not avoid it. Yep. I was talking about Hunter Biden starting a laptop company would sell a lot. Maybe, I don't know. Hunter Biden laptops. These ones are actually real. Should be their slogan if Hunter Biden did start a laptop company. So, anyway. What else do we want to talk about? Oh, on the last show, we discussed the Senate. We discussed the Senate on a previous show, and I basically didn't know the flat numbers of how many of the seats were going to flip, how many seats weren't going to flip. There's what, 4 extra Republicans in the Senate right now. So the Democrats would have to flip 4 seats. Now 2 are possible. There's the North Carolina seat that is possible to win because you have a statewide official who was a Democrat win it, even though Harris didn't win it. But the reason that Harris didn't win it, I've always attributed to racism and sexism. But this is a very red map for the 2026 election. It's a very red map where these elections are taking place. Do I think that Texas could flip blue in the Senate? No. Could Louisiana flip blue in the Senate? Nope. Florida, is Florida going to flip blue? Nope. So I don't quite see how the Democrats would be able to take back the Senate in and of itself, let alone do it in such a way that it would be filibuster proof, or that would enable them to convict Donald Trump of articles of impeachment. But the first thing you have to do is win back the House to actually get an impeachment trial going. But then you have to have the control of the Senate to make sure that it can actually reach the floor. But then you also have to convince enough Republican lawmakers that this is a horrible presidency, a grifter, a criminal who's only using this office to enrich himself. Anyway. Let's end that one there, I guess. Do we need 2 Dakotas? I've questioned if we needed 2 Dakotas on a previous show, actually. I've questioned about, why do we have a North Dakota and a South Dakota? They're so sparsely populated, it should be 1. North Dakota and South Dakota don't need 2 senators each. They could get due on 1 apiece, and they could make due just by calling it Dakota. Make it 49 states. Maybe the 50th state becomes Hawaii. I don't know. So do you think that the Senate will pass the big, beautiful bill? Is the big, beautiful bill a reconciliation bill? I think it might be. Let's see. Big, beautiful bill. Is it reconciliation? Yep, the one big, beautiful budget reconciliation bill. The fact that it's a reconciliation bill would allow them to only pass it with 50 in the Senate and not have to worry about the filibuster, potentially. So, of course, if you want to remove her from office, you need more than that. So, anyway. I don't know if the Senate will be able to block the big bill, because when it comes to reconciliation bills, the ability to filibuster does not affect that at all. So do you think Dinky would try to get tariffs through Congress now once he appeals to the Supreme Court like the whining child he is? I mean, they're just going to rubber stamp him anyway, so why wouldn't he try and do that? Although he probably doesn't want to give power to anybody else. Excuse me. He probably wants to, whatever. Taco. Yes. Let's talk about the taco, shall we? Taco. Grande. Actually, before we do that, let's talk about pizza doxing for a smidge. What is pizza doxing? So, pizza doxing is involving ordering pizzas to a judge's home address, potentially revealing their location and creating unease, i.e., you know where the judge is, you know where they live, you deliver a pizza to their house, and that's supposed to help scare them into submission and not want to do what they're supposed to do, i.e., interpret the law correctly. So that's what pizza doxing is. And then in this particular case, pizza sent as threats in name of judge's murdered son. So Judge Esther Salas is a judge, obviously. Let's see. U.S. District Court Judge Esther Salas said during Speak Up for Justice, a nationwide online forum, that we are facing what appears to be targeted strikes against judges in the form of intimidation from unknown sources. Salas described the new tactic. Hundreds of pizzas have been delivered to judges all over the country in the first few months. And in the last few weeks, judges' children Salas said her late son's name was included in the pizza deliveries for this week. Daniel Anderl was shot dead in 2020 at the front door of the family Jersey home by an angry lawyer Salas had previously ruled against. And now Daniel's name was being weaponized to bring fear to our new republic, to bring fear to judges and children. You're saying to those judges, you want to end up like Judge Salas, you want to end up like Judge Salas' son, keep doing what you're doing, otherwise fix it. Right? Anyway. So, if these people were doing this stuff to Biden, that they would they would have no problem with it. But because Trump might have been there leading the whole thing. So, anyway. What do you think? Agree? Do you think that, this is a problem that's spreading? What do you think about the pizza doxing? Leave your comments below. Remember to like the video, share, subscribe to the channel. Of course, unless you're a Nazi or a pizza doxer. Have a good day. Man. Dachshund flavored pizza. Why did the cowboy buy a dachshund? Does anybody know in the chat? Cassie knows why. Cassie knows it. That's because I've told that joke before. So, hey Kimchi, good to see you. The goddess Kimchi is in the chat. Appreciate you joining us. Take a break from cleaning. Join the chat. Although I don't know how much longer I'm going to last because I feel like I'm just fading fast right now. I'm just like, But let's look at this other thing. Let's turn off this volume here first. It was at Judge Jeanine Pirro's swearing-in ceremony. Lovely. Another Fox News idiot who doesn't know our ass from a hole in the ground, or their asses from holes in the ground, going to be serving herself under the Trump administration and serving Donald Trump. I'm not going to say serving this country because that's just not true. But here you go. Donald Trump at the swearing-in ceremony for Jeanine Pirro. And we get to the point that this is the taco. And it explains what taco means first. So here we go.
Mr. President, Wall Street analysts have coined a new term called the taco trade. They're saying Trump always chickens out on your tariff threats, and that's why markets are higher this week. What's your response to that?
I kick out?
Chicken out.
Oh, and then I chicken out. I've never heard that. You mean because I reduced China from 145%?
I've never heard that I've chickened out before. I mean, ignore the bone spurs. Ignore that. Ignore all the other different ways that I didn't do what I should have done. I didn't stand up to Putin, but, because he's a chicken,
It is what it is.
Thank you, Donald. Let's continue with Donald's blathering.
Percent that I set down to 100 and then down to another number. And
I put it down to 100. I put it down to another number. And because I have bad mental faculties, I can't remember what the number is at the time, even though I'm the one that said it. Supposedly.
I said you have to open up your whole country, and because I gave the European Union a 50% tax tariff, and they called up and they said, please, let's meet right now. Please, let's meet right now. And I said, okay, I'll give you till Janine. I actually asked them, I said,
I'll give you till Janine. What's Janine? What is that? More made-up words by Donald Trump. Now, I'm thinking he meant July 9th or June 9th or something like that, maybe. But again, Biden was supposedly the one with the cognition problems. Yet Janine, or maybe he was just mispronouncing Jeanine Pirro's name wrong and just had Jeanine Pirro on the brain. Ugh.
what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet. And after I did what
And I couldn't tell him the date because I can't pronounce words, even though I have the best words. Nobody has better words.
I did, they said, we'll meet anytime you want. And we have an end date of July 9th. You call that chickening out? Because we have $14 trillion now invested, committed to investing when Biden didn't have practically anything. This country was dying. You know, we have the hottest.
The country was not. The country was dying literally under you. under you, Donald Trump, the country was literally like more people died needlessly under COVID-19 because of Donald Trump's mishandling of the pandemic. But, let's continue.
This country anywhere in the world. I went to Saudi Arabia. The king told me. He said,
The king told me, and we spoke like kings because I'm your king. Bow down to me, worship me.
We have the hottest country in the world right now.
We have the hottest country. What's the difference, right? That he wants to run the country like he ran his companies into the ground.
6 months ago, this country was stone cold dead. We had a dead country. We had a country people.
Really, is that why the economy was doing great? Why the stock market was higher than it had ever been? And now it's tanking under you, or it has tanked under you because of your wishy-washy, taco economics?
I didn't think it was going to survive, and you ask a nasty question like that.
I don't like nasty women who ask nasty questions. I should say Nancy questions because, all of them are Nancy's.
It's called negotiation. You set a number.
Does fasting help you lose weight?
It's called, you set a number. You set a number.
Set a number at a ridiculous high number, and I go down a little bit, a little bit. They want me to hold that number.
Now, here's the thing about that. At least he's now admitting that the number he put up was ridiculous. He's now admitting that it was an absurd amount to place as a tariff. Like, maybe he's just too stupid to realize that he just did that, but he just did it. Told everybody that his number is a ridiculous number. Now, granted, I have said on this show that if you want to negotiate, the problem with Democrats and how they negotiate is that they like $15 an hour minimum wage. Like they start at 15, and then you get worse than that. I was like, no, if you want 15 to be your minimum wage, you got to start at 22, and then work your way backwards to the point where you want to be in the first place. So Democrats absolutely need not just better wordsmiths, but better people when it comes to negotiating. Right? That being said, I've also said when discussing the same topic that you can't go too far crazy because then nobody's going to take you seriously. And here he is, President Trump admitting that his number was stupidly crazy high.
145% tariff. Even I said, man, that really got up. You know how it got?
I even said, man, that really got up. And then I said, that's what she said.
Because of fentanyl and many other things, and you added it up. I said, where are we now? We're at 145%. I said, whoa, that's high. That's high.
I was going to charge a tariff, then I got high.
They were doing no business whatsoever, and they were having a lot of problems. We were very nice to China. I don't know if they're going to be nice to us, but we were very nice to China. And in many ways, I think we really helped.
We were very nice to China, although we're not, because I say all horrible things about China, but then I kiss their ass because they want to have military parades like they do.
Helped China tremendously because, they were having great difficulty because we were basically going cold turkey with China. We were doing no business because of the tariff, because it was so high. But I knew that. But don't ever say,
I knew that.
What you said. That's a nasty question. Go ahead. To me, that's the nastiest question.
It's the nastiest question ever. Nobody's asked a nastier question.
Wait a minute. Wait. Go ahead, please.
President Zelensky says he's ready to sit down with you and Vladimir Putin in Geneva.
But here's the thing.
I actually asked them, I said, what's the date? Because they weren't willing to meet.
Let's listen
and
to
after I did
one
what
more
I
time.
did, they said, this country was stone cold dead. I set a number at a ridiculous high number, and I go down a little bit, a little bit.
Anyway, I don't want to replay the whole thing because his mouth and words just are grating. I don't want to put you through too much of that. That being said, here's the thing. At some point in that interview, in those questions and answers, he actually called the tariffs a tax. He called it a tax. After denying it all the times, he even said tax, tariff, whatever. He doesn't even know. But this is why the economy has been just tanking up and down. Go down, then it comes back up when he lifts the tariffs, then he puts the tariff again, it goes back down. The uncertainty is killing the market. The uncertainty is harming consumers. It's going to affect supply, which is going to cause prices to skyrocket. Right? Like, this shouldn't be that hard to understand. But Donald Trump did say that he loved the poorly educated after the 2016 Nevada primaries, and as such, he anticipates and expects his supporters to be poorly educated and not be able to discern, the truth from whatever it is that he's spreading all over their toast or whatever. Anyway, it's terrible. Whatever. Not going to do the regular ending. I'm going to end this recording one just like that. I'll edit it a little bit. Let's see. Phil Stone. Let's see. I hope Garland really appreciates that his prioritizing reestablishing independence of the DOJ had absolutely no effect on wrecking the department. Exactly. Release the Epstein files. That's the thing. That's one of the things that, conservative talk show hosts are like, well, why haven't they given us the Epstein files? I'll tell you exactly why. We're not getting the Epstein files. The reason we're not getting the Epstein files is, I'm sure they have to wipe Donald Trump's name clear from every example of his name being stated on those files. They're going to have to redact it. You're going to see it all blacked out. What is this thing that looks the same width of the letters Donald J. Trump? Right? Taco chicken. Well, taco chicken would be redundant, right? Because is Trump always chickens out? So if it's taco chicken, then it would just be taco. I don't know. McDonald's needs to start making tacos, apparently. Didn't they make them before, or was that Burger King? Now, McDonald's has come out with chicken strips, and the old McDonald's chicken strips used to actually be okay. These ones, ugh, terrible. America was better before Trump. Yeah, exactly, Stephen. And thank you for being a liberal danimal for 5 months. Sweet taco kisses. Taco favorite kisses for my Ben. See, at the Canadian border, they are questioning you about Trump, and if they refuse your entry, you get a 5-year ban from visiting again. Oh, I'm sure I'd pass that test with flying colors. What do you think about Donald Trump? Asshole. What do you think about Donald Trump? Traitorous criminal piece of crap who is ridiculous and wanted to make y'all the 51st state. I welcome it because, Republicans would never be able to win the presidency ever again if we had that as the 51st state. We get so many electoral college votes that it would place an insurmountable mountain in their way. Don't eat McDonald's, please. Well, I eat much less of it because of the fact the kids like it. So I was like, all right, let's get you some McDonald's after you did a whole bunch of hard work in the house. And I did get myself some too, but I couldn't even finish it because of the Zepbound. So, and I'm officially, I weighed myself at the doctor's office on Tuesday, and I'm officially down 115 pounds. So there you go. If you see the slimming of the face, that's I'm down that way. See, I shuttled PCT hikers from other countries. They scrubbed their phones before traveling here. Nice. Canadians are not going to want to do business with a fascist country. I don't blame them either. Thank you, Steve. It wasn't Scottish.
If it's no Scottish, it's crap.
But it's good regardless. Yeah, I'm confused as to, so note that B. I don't know what she meant by that. But maybe it's just telling me to Trump get back as evil coming to intent. Maybe that's what she meant. So that B was wake up, made Trump get all of his evil come back to him tenfold is probably what Kimchi was responding to, I would think. Philistone says, I was thinking you look like you lost some weight. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Bobby Brainworm is doing his best to bring back the worst of COVID. Absolutely, because they're trying to stop us from getting approved to get vaccines, because if they haven't approved it for certain people, the insurers are going to be like, nope, we're not going to cover it. Sorry. And then they're going to make them put more money into doing more research that's going to tell them the same thing that they already knew about the safety and efficacy of the vaccine. So, or the jab, as they call it. So is Texas hell? If it's not hell precisely, it might be just on the outskirts. So, Suzanne, I'll have to get a burner phone. Nice. Thank you, Kimchi. Appreciate you. So Dan has definitely lost weight since I started watching. Yep. So, and we still got a long ways to go. We have an absolute long ways to go, but down 115 pounds. And I'd probably like to lose another 130, maybe. But I don't know if that's possible because without like removing the excess skin that would be there. But yeah, I have that. I think I probably still have that much far to go. Which, if I keep losing weight at the rate that I'm losing weight, it's about 10 pounds a month. I don't know if it's going to stop. I thought I'd plateaued for a second, but it then continued going back down. So, let's see, I lost 43 pounds in one day. Not recommended. Oof. Was that losing a limb, or was that just vomiting and pooping everywhere? Yeah, I'm sure I lost about a good 10 pounds in a couple of days because I got food poisoning and like a dumbass, I didn't go to the hospital. I should have gone to the hospital. But, you know, hindsight being 2020, I was too out of it. And I was fearing that if I actually did try and get to the hospital, that I might not make it to the hospital because I might have, you know, had an accident of some sort because, it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. Dan, the incredible shrinking man, Ant-Man's nemesis. Yes. Well, Ant-Man shrinks, but he just shrinks normally. But then he goes big, too. So. Make America Trumpless. MATA would be M-A-T-A, Make America Trumpless again. So, oof, that rain out there is terrible. I'm almost half tempted to end the show earlier simply because of the fact that I don't want to lose power in the middle of the show. Though I think if I did, I'd be able to... Oh, that rain is going hard. That's going hard out there. Let's see. Flip back to the main show image. Surgery, kidney, spleen, and 10 inches of colon, and a dozen lymph nodes, and a 25 6-pound tumor. Wow! That's a lot. 26-pound tumor. It's not a tumor. That's like 3 babies. That's crazy. My thing that I actually am worried about when it comes to losing weight, which is, you know, it can be taken care of at some point. But one thing that I do want to make sure, or one thing that I am going to probably want to get done that who knows if I'd be able to afford it, is I know after I lose more weight, I'm going to start having lots of hanging flap skins or whatever. And I'm probably going to want to have to do something to get rid of all the excess skin. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get there, because I'm not there yet. Let's see. Sue, Trump's tariffs permanently blocked, which is good news. Oh, wait. Let's see. What? Trump tariffs blocked. So King Charles' middle finger to Trump was the thing of beauty, diplomatic, poignant speech at its finest. The Fauci ouchie. Yes, the Fauci ouchie. There's a very nice video that you can find about Cassie getting her Fauci ouchie. I took 2 videos and I was like, you got your Fauci ouchie? And I was like, it doesn't look like I have full bars now, so I haven't gotten the full-on 5G. And then the next time I did have full bars, I was like, see that? You gave me your 5G, right? So yeah, Axios. Let's check this out. Court says Trump doesn't have the authority to set tariffs. Federal court on Wednesday ruled President Trump does not have the authority under economic emergency legislation to impose sweeping global tariffs. Why it matters, the U.S. Court of International Trade's ruling could bring the administration's trade war to a screeching halt by blocking entirely most categories of tariffs. The court effectively wiped out most of the regime Trump put in place since taking office. The court, ruling in 2 separate cases, issued a summary judgment throwing out all of the tariffs Trump imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA. Is that a beer with 2 E's in it? Trump used the 1977 law, which had never before been invoked in a tariff situation, to unilaterally impose sweeping trade levies worldwide. The 2 groups of plaintiffs, businesses and states, sued on the grounds that the president's orders violated the Constitution, grants of authority over import duties to Congress. I mean, probably right, but I'm sure the conservatives don't agree because, you know, they only talk about the 10th Amendment when it you know, is convenient to them. The administration filed a notice of appeal soon after the ruling. The court does not need IEEPA to confer such unbounded authority and sets aside the challenge tariffs imposed thereunder. The tariffs imposed under a different legal authority called Section 232, including on imports of auto, steel, and aluminum, are unaffected by the ruling. For the record, the court, which gets relatively little attention compared to most other federal courts, has jurisdiction over civil cases arising from trade disputes. The 3 judges who heard the case were Reagan, Obama, and Trump appointees. President Trump pledged to put America first. Administration is committed to using every lever of his executive power to address the crisis and restore American greatness. But you don't have that executive power if it belongs to the Congress. So let's see, other news. Oregon Attorney General Dan Rayfield, whose office is leading the state suit, in a statement said that they brought the case because the Constitution doesn't give any president unchecked authority to upend the economy. The ruling reaffirms that our laws matter. And of course, as Pat Bondi said,
no one is above the law in this country.
What was that again?
No
Pat?
one is above the law in this country.
That's what I thought. Letitia James, who joined the suit, said in a statement, the law makes clear that no president has the power to single-handedly raise taxes whenever they like. These tariffs are a massive tax hike on working families and American businesses that would have led to more inflation, economic damage to businesses of all sizes, and job losses across the country if allowed to continue. So there's that. My great state of Colorado was also part of this lawsuit. That's good. See, Aaron, I had bad gastric bypass in March. So far, no saggy skin. I'm good. I think I've noticed some in like my thighs. Like if I look at my thighs and I see them kind of droop, they're kind of droopy now that they're not completely full of fat. So, yeah, Bondi should go back to school. Bondi should go back to frickin' Qatar, who she was doing, work for tons of money every year. And what time is it? It's 9. All right. Clearly, I am exhausted. Clearly, I am not handling today very well. I did want to get on the show. I did want to talk about the several topics that I had planned to talk about. But honestly, if it gets any worse, I'm just going to sit here and fall asleep on camera, I think. Because I'm just that beat, that worn out. I probably want to get to bed a little early. So, anyway, thank you, Leanna, for the big super chat. Thank you, Aaron and Molly, for also giving super chats. Thank you, Robin, for being a liberal danimal for 11 months, and Steven Sayers for being a liberal danimal for 5 months. Appreciate your support. Of course, that helps the show as well. But if you can't afford super chats, super stickers, subscriptions, etc., the best thing you could do is just remember to like, video, share, comment, etc. Help the algorithms, because Al Gore needs more rhythm. But we will be back Monday. I'm not necessarily. Hey, Chad, thank you for the $10. Appreciate you as well. Again, we may disagree on a wide variety of things, but I do appreciate your support. I do think, of the people that voted for Donald Trump out there, you're somebody who I can actually have a conversation with. Even though we disagree on many of the topics, you're somebody that we can have a conversation on. So, again, we're going to disagree, but, see, Bicycle Mike, F DJT. Well, we should 86 DJT, because, again, 86, according to Dan Bongholio or whatever, he claims that it means death, but it doesn't mean death. And we may have something pertaining to that, maybe, hopefully, sometime soon. I don't know. Do you want me to scream for 30 minutes while you just go, uh-huh? Let's just do that Monday, because I don't want to sit there and fall asleep while you're ranting. Canadian rants from our neighbor from the north. Big hook, big hook. I should be like, this has been a big hook Canadian rant. Well, maybe we should stop now anyway, because we have 69 views. So, yes, 86 was Maxwell Smart's agent number. It was also my number when I worked freshman year at Tulane University. I worked as somebody who walked around campus like giving parking tickets or whatever, because that was one of the student jobs, and you could work whatever hours you really wanted to. You just came in, write tickets, and left. So, and my number was 86. I was very excited because I used to love Get Smart. So, 8-hour stream of Dan head down snoring. Yeah, Maybe that'll help the algorithm. When will Dan wake up? Let's watch and see. Maybe my snoring could be some ASMR to somebody. Although, it's still just, the ASMR part is just so funny because I remember when I was doing the show from Georgia, when we evacuated for Hurricane Ida, that I was having to do the show like this because I was sharing the room with Cassie, who, you know, I didn't want to be too loud. I didn't want to actually be too loud and have the sound go through the house altogether. So I basically did a very low NPR type show, and it would put Cassie to sleep 5 minutes flat. Anyway, Get Smart was Mel Brooks. I mean, Maxwell Smart was. Did he actually do the show? I mean, that would. Did I know that? I don't know if I knew that. Anyway, and Buck Henry. I believe in Buck Henry. Sorry, had to do another wrestling quote. How many times does 86 go into 99? That depends. How long he lasts, I guess. That's funny. Yes. Wrote with Buck Henty. I used to watch Inspector Gadget too. Similar idea. Anyway, so thank you all very much. If you're watching on Twitch, we'll probably just have to do a hard out because I still haven't found the good music that'll play on both and won't generate copyright violations. We'll work on that at some point soon. Otherwise, appreciate everybody for watching over there. Appreciate everybody for watching on YouTube. Again, we'll be perhaps more energetic on Monday, although we anticipate doing a lot of work over the weekend. We have to tackle the shed on Saturday. Anyway, thank you all so much. Appreciate it. Thank again, everybody, for the super chats, for staying liberal danimals and all that good stuff. Have a great night. Peace.
like turtles.